What's up, Wake and Oasis? I'm so glad that we're back this Wednesday. My name is Gideon. If you haven't had the chance to meet me yet, I'm one of the interns here, and I just have a couple announcements for you before we get into our message tonight. This Saturday, Oasis, we are hanging out. We are going bowling. It is at 5:15 to 7:15. It costs $10. Sign up on the website or through the link on our Instagram. If you don't have the link, we will send it over to you. So guys, this is a great chance to show us some of your bowling moves. So like if you've been practicing on Wii, give us a little like that. Don't throw it behind you because I've done that before. It does not turn out well apparently. Wake, we have a hangout as well on the 27th. We are going skating. That is also $10 from 5:15 to 7:15. It is on the 27th. Make sure you sign up for these events because they have limited seating. Enjoy the message tonight, guys. We'll see you next week.
Hey everybody, Oasis and Wake, Joe Crabb here with you guys, and things are set up a little bit different tonight because we're going to have a little bit different of a conversation here. I'll introduce some of my friends who might be familiar faces to you guys, but before I do that, let me just kind of share what we're doing and why we're doing it. As you can see, we're going to have a couple of people who are sharing tonight, and our focus of our conversation is going to be all on small groups. As you guys know, and the way that we've been set up this year, small groups are very important to what we do here at Oasis and Wake. And the reason why they're important is because we want to make sure that we are providing a safe space for students to be able to connect and engage with one another. And we're blessed to have a ton of students who call Oasis and Wake their home, but we want them to have that more familiar space, that really small group space. Truly, it's actually what we see modeled by Jesus and the 12 disciples. Jesus had crowds and crowds and crowds of people who followed after him. Yet we see that Jesus intentionally had 12 people that he did life with, that he went to and from as he was doing ministry. And even within that, there were 3 people that Jesus really spent more time with in Peter, James, and John. And so we want to model that to you guys. And again, create that space of being able to love one another, encourage one another, grow in our faith with one another. And yet we know at the same time, we talk about small groups, and you're going to hear some great things from our panel here tonight about small groups. But we also know, because we're broken people, that sometimes there's tension in small groups. And I shared with them that one of the things we do want to talk about is how we handle that. How do you handle conversations when your small group leader upsets you? How do you handle conversations or moments where you don't feel like you're clicking with the group? Because I know that can be tension when you hear like, man, small groups are so great, but maybe lately you haven't been having a great experience in small group, which I think we know is also a part of the church in general. There's times in which we don't like the church, or we get mad or upset with people in the church. And so I love that we have a space here, regardless if you're a 6th grader or you're a senior or anywhere in between. We should say, hey, we get that. And the beautiful thing is that we know that that's going to happen. Scripture tells us that we're going to have these disagreements, these moments with one another. But the beautiful thing about the body of Christ is that we get to handle those things differently. In a way that reflects Christ to people. And so we're talking about that, and of course talk about some great and encouraging things that come with small groups. So I am excited to dive into this conversation with you guys, and I thank you guys for being here. I'll go ahead, I'm going to introduce you guys real quickly, and you guys can tell me what I get wrong along the way. But immediately to my left is Rachel Fund. Rachel, wave to the camera here. Rachel Fund has been a small group leader for 7 years. Her and her co-leader Valerie have been with the same girls from 6th grade to now their senior year. And so we're glad to have you here, Rachel. And with Rachel is one of our senior girls, Juliet Page, who has been a part of this journey for 7 years. And so I'm excited to hear from you guys kind of on the tail end of it. And then right across from me is Therese Smith, one of our Oasis leaders, one of our middle school leaders with 8th grade guys, and he's been with them for the past 3 years. So I love that we're going to get this perspective here of being an Oasis, being those 3 years, and get that whole 7-year picture. And then right across from me next to Therese is Adam Gittler, 8th grade guy with Therese, and excited to get your perspective here of what it's like doing small groups, the joys and the pitfalls, and how we navigate them as brothers and sisters in Christ. And Julia, I'm going to start with you, and then Adam, go to you, and talk about small groups. We know that they happen generally on Wednesday nights. They've been on Wednesday and Thursday night for you, and they're going to be on Wednesday nights for the future for everybody, just so we're all aware. Wednesday nights are now our home for Oasis and Awake. But I know for students that you guys have to make sacrifices to be able to be a part of your small group. So what are ways that you guys have sacrificed time and energy to be a part of small group? What are some of those sacrifices?
I think for me, I've made Wake more of a priority and a value rather than an option. I know a lot of kids who will come a couple times and then a lot of other times not show up. But I think Wednesdays or Thursdays or whatever day it is, I give that day to Wake. I will not make any social plans. I won't, like, I've always taken off the days that I work for Wake. Sports, I mean, even if I have been in sports before that have happened during church and whatever, if I was able to, I would come after. I think to make that time and to set that is very important, because if I didn't set that, I would be hanging out with friends or whatever. So I've made Wake less of an option and more of a commitment, and I am going, and I'm not going to be doing anything else that day because I want to be here.
That's really good. That's really good. Adam, what about for you, man, as an 8th grade guy?
Well, I spend a lot of my time playing online with friends. So I think whenever I come here, I give up time playing with my friends, and I'm okay with that. I love coming here. I love seeing all my friends in our small group, and I love coming to share the Word of God.
That's really good. Now, there are some guys who maybe disagree with you and be like, no, bro, I just want to go home and want to play video games or whatever. What is it about being able to be here that you're like, man, that's worth the sacrifice?
Just getting to know God and know what He's sacrificed for me.
That's good.
And everything else that He's done.
That's a really good perspective. And what I appreciate, and part of the reason I want to ask the question, and I should have said this at the top, you four are here just to represent everybody else, right? And kind of really to share your firsthand experience. But I wanted to ask that question first to students, because I share this with our leaders sometimes. I know our leaders care very much about their group. And I think it's important for us to have that perspective that you guys care about about group as well. That you guys are making sacrifices to be there, to show up. I love that you said that you make it a priority over an option, because once we kind of make it something that we're willing to bargain with, it's easy to say yes to other things time and time again. But we're like, no, this is what I'm going to do, and making that priority, there's such a value there. Now, same question for you leaders. I know that there's a sacrifice for leaders. So what are some of those sacrifices that you guys have had to make to be 7 years, a better part of a decade here every Wednesday or every Thursday, and same thing? What are some of those sacrifices, Rachel?
I think Juliet hit it pretty on the head. I think it's a little bit easier when you're an adult. I've been with the girls since I was like a freshman in college, so now I'm in a career job. So I think same with Juliet. When I was working at Starbucks, like a minimum wage job, I was like, I can't work on these nights because I have my girls. And now that if there's any plans that come up, people in my life just know, because I've been doing it for so long, that I'm extremely committed to the girls. And also I just love being around them. It's just fun. They teach me a lot more than sometimes I feel like I teach them. So it's just a nice night where we can grow spiritually together. So to me, it's not really a sacrifice. It's more of like a reward that I get to be here with them.
That's such a good perspective. And it's that we get to. Therese, same thing. Because you started serving, was it your senior year of high school or right after?
It was right after.
Right after. So both freshmen in college. You're on the Rachel track here, going for the next 7 years or 4 years. But yeah, what are some of those sacrifices that you've had to make to be a small group leader?
Yeah, I do agree with Rachel a lot. So I had to put aside hanging out with coworkers after work, right? Because I work at my university, or I had to put aside just hanging out with people, my friends, and people that it's in OU as well, right? To hang out with my kids, right? And I've from the bottom of my heart, I say like, it's actually a joy, right? And I'm actually happy that I get this opportunity.
That's so good, and part of the reason why I want to ask that question is for honestly not just for leaders to hear that, because I think as leaders we need to be reminded that hey, we're not in this alone. That we have other people who are making sacrifices week in and week out to see students come to know Christ and grow in their faith. But I think for students too, to know that like man, there are just like they're making sacrifices, just as Adam and Juliet are making sacrifices to be here. That you guys as leaders are making those sacrifices. Like there's nothing better for me on a Wednesday night to spend time with my 8th grade guys. There's nothing better on a Wednesday night to spend time with my senior girls. I want to be able to do that because when those tough moments do arise, to remember why we're gathered together and what draws us to this place, and ultimately it's the love of Christ. I think that helps us believe the best, love each other better, encourage one another. So what I want to do right now, this is one of those moments we're going to take a pause in our conversation and let you guys in your small group kind of have conversation. Now, if you're in Rachel and Teresa's small group and you're watching this, one, just cheer them on. This is great. It's always awkward having to watch yourself on screen, but now when you have an audience doing it. But we want you guys to take a pause and share maybe some of the things that you guys have had to give up. And I'm not asking you to do this as a pat on your back, but also maybe to invite in some of the tensions that you have when it comes to homework that arises or, a sport thing that happens. Because I think it's good for us to be able to encourage one another and help one another out. Saying, oh, I had this conversation with my coach and this is how it went. Or, yeah, I found this is the best way to kind of approach these conversations with mom or dad. Or, man, you just got to get over that, make that decision, make that sacrifice. So right now in small group, share what are some of the sacrifices that you have had to make to be a part and to prioritize small group? Or what do you need help with? What do you need to start kind of cutting out so you can prioritize this Christ-centered community? I hope that was an encouraging conversation, and we're going to dive back in here. I got another question for Juliet and for Adam, and that is this. What are ways that you have seen your leaders and the other leaders in your small group want the best for you? What are some of the things that they've done that you're like, man, they truly want the best for me?
I think I've really seen the way that my leaders care because of their patience. There have been so many times where I've had to stay after and talk to them because I needed somebody to listen, or just like being there for us in a way that's like they're taking time out of their day as well to they plan things when we don't have small group all the time, and patience is a big thing. I think over the years our leaders have been so patient with us. I mean, it's probably insane leading a group of girls that are crazy and wants to like shut up and like so I mean, looking back, Rachel's been so patient, and so have my other leaders, and actually taking that time to be patient and staying after whatever it is.
That's good. That's really good. Thank you. Adam, same thing. What are some ways that you've seen Therese and Mike and Ryan want the best for you?
Well, I've seen them like help us after, talk to us and make sure that we understand what happened and what we're talking about. And then if someone wants to come but they don't have a ride, they will go out of their way.
That's good.
To come pick them up and bring them to church.
I think it's good for others to hear it. One, again, I think as leaders for us to know, like, oh man, students pick up a lot more than we realize at times. And I think sometimes people can, even though we say it, they can still be hesitant to be like, oh, I got a question. I want to talk more about this. Or I don't want to feel like I'm bothering people. It would be cool if you guys stayed after. And to hear, and I know you guys represent a bunch of students who that's been their same experience. Like, my leaders have been patient with me. They do take that time to really make sure that we're grasping it because they want us to grow. Rachel, for you and Valerie, what are some of those things that you guys have done to try and create that space where students feel like they can share those things and really that culture in your small group?
Well, first of all, Valerie's not here, but I do have to say that I think that we bounce off each other very well. But I think one of the most important things, and I've talked to Valerie about this and the girls, is that there's like your high schoolers or your middle schoolers, they're people, right? Like we're not talking at them or we're not like teaching at them. We don't want to ever be preachy at them.
Yeah.
And to create a safe space is to say, like, come as you are. Whatever is in your life, if you don't feel comfortable telling somebody else, like you can tell us in confidence. That's and we'll move forward from there. But I think the biggest thing is creating a safe space for your kids.
That's really good.
And like staying after or making sure that they know that we're not just here on Wednesday nights, like, or Thursday nights. We're here throughout the week. Like, you can text us, you can call us. I tell my girls, especially as they've gotten older, like, if you ever need somebody to call at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I may be angry that you called me at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I will answer.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important thing is just like telling them that you love them every week. That's even great. Like the new kids, just tell them that you love them. Like, just be like, you don't know me, but I love you. And like, you're welcome here.
But I think that's true. And if you're a new kid and you're watching this tonight in group, I know that we mean it. We might not know you, but we really just want you to know that you are loved here because you've been created in the image of God. And I love what you said because I think it's over time because as you're showing up week in and week out, and obviously you don't have to have perfect attendance, but like you're showing up in the life of the student, that builds trust so that when they hear, oh, she said we could call her at 3 a.m, they're like, yeah, actually, no, I can. And I think a lot of it's just over time following through in the things that you said and showing that you care from what you say to your actions. And so, Therese, same question. What are ways that you guys are looking to create a safe space in which students can spiritually grow?
Yeah, I know Mike and Ryan is not here, but we always tell them like whatever you say here, I mean, stays in these doors, right? We don't judge or anything like that, right? And just being there, right, for everybody in group, especially leaders and everything like that, and just showing them that we care, right, and saying we love them, or sitting back after and talking to them if they want to talk, or and I guess one more reason or one more way is telling them my experience, right, in life,
That's
and
good. That's
um,
good.
yeah, and just my struggles and my challenges and everything like that, and really setting the tone that way.
Yeah, it's our students meet us at a certain point in our life, right? And we know we ain't got it together. But when you see someone in college, like, oh man, they love Jesus, they seem to have a lot of knowledge about the Bible, you can be like, I can't bring my question to them. I can't share that concern with them. Like they've got it together and I don't. And for us to, I think, realize that at times, like, all right, how am I letting my students know that, hey, I too am a work in progress. I too am a sinner saved by grace. And modeling that definitely creates that safe space. But I know it's not just up to us. I know it's up to the students as well. So it's the same question for Juliet and Adam. How do you guys look in your small group to help create that space in which other students feel safe or other students feel like it's a great opportunity for them to grow spiritually?
Yeah, I think like in the same way that the leaders were saying, keeping it judgment free. Everyone comes to group at a different level spiritually.
That's good.
So, sometimes somebody will be talking and it's like, oh, they don't understand as the other person does and whatever. And so to keep that still judgmental free, I think that's a really good thing to do in group. And I think a good way to keep people talking and feeling like they're not being judged is participation. Like if there is no conversation that's good, like honestly, I'm a really shy person, but if there's no conversation, like for me to be like, oh, like I can share, like to create that safe space where kind of everybody can talk.
That's good.
And participation, I think, is a really big part of that. And if one person is talking, kind of getting others to participate too, I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Because as leaders, I'm sure we could talk all day if we really wanted to, but we don't want to just hear from you. We don't want you guys to hear from us. We want to hear from you guys. And I think for others, realize, oh, I can say something. And the way the leader responds helps create that. And others respond too. That's good. Now, I know at times that maybe for someone even listening, they felt like they shared, but no one was listening to them. Or they felt like they shared, and maybe a leader, they didn't mean to. Maybe they were sarcastic in their response, or something just got lost in translation, and it caused a little bit of a tension. I'm going to start with going back to you, Juliet and Adam, and saying, how have you guys handled difficult moments with your leader, and what advice and encouragement would you have for anybody who maybe they're currently in a difficult moment with their leader, or the reason why they haven't come back is because they were rubbed the wrong way by someone in group and so on. So kind of a multifaceted question, but go for it.
Yeah, so I think when our leaders mean they're always there for us, it means they're always there for us. So if there is a problem, taking it to them and actually discussing it and not being afraid, like, oh, they're my leader, like, I have a problem, let's not talk about it. I think it's also a really good idea to know other leaders or, like Shanna and I come to Shanna all the time, and I think that if there were a problem with one of my leaders and I talk to them and I'm like, it doesn't seem to be getting resolved or whatever, to bring that third party in for a good discussion, because I think that through the communication things can be solved, and to have that person and not to go and talk about it with other students or whatever, but to have that extra leader that to be able to come and help with discussion as well.
That's really good. I really appreciate that answer. And and obviously, even biblically, we know that we are to take those things to one another. And I get at times there could be some intimidation to doing so and everything, but bringing in that other wise counsel, and you're seeking that. You're seeking counsel. You're not like looking for allies by sharing it with other students. And I think part of it is you don't want to share it with other students because in that moment, because you could end up creating division. None of this is an indictment on our small group leaders. I think our leaders, and I know when those conversations have happened, they're like, man, I feel bad. I didn't realize that I said something and that upset somebody in that way, and because they care so deeply for students. But to be aware, and I know I do it as well. I'm sure I have said things as well to people that I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't have said it that way. And I'd much rather have somebody come and say that to me and let me know, because I want to apologize. And ultimately, we don't want those things to get in the way of creating that safe space, of allowing someone to spiritually grow. Now, Rachel, Therese, How have you guys had to handle those moments where you felt like, oh, maybe someone did come to you or they didn't come to you, or you caught wind of it, or you just felt afterwards like, man, maybe I didn't handle that the best way. How has God grown you? What has that experience been like? 7 years, 3 years. You're both smirking, so I'm excited to hear what you got. So
Well, firstly, I just want to. There's so much wisdom. Okay, I'm so proud.
very true, very true.
Okay.
I agree.
Sorry. Anyways, I think like the biggest thing that I've learned in the like past 7 years is that to really humble yourself. Like, if a sixth grader comes and tells you that you hurt their feelings, you don't get to decide whether or not you hurt their feelings, right?
That's
like,
good.
If Juliet were to come to me after this and be like, "You embarrassed me," I would be like, "I'm sorry that I did that, but I was
That's good.
proud." So it's really just kind of like training yourself to realize, like, in any environment, especially in the church, if somebody comes to you with a problem, whether or not you think you did anything wrong, you have to come to them with a humble heart and listen to them and acknowledge that you're going to unintentionally hurt people sometimes, and own up to that hurt and have a conversation and just walk away. Make sure that you don't walk away from the conversation until you know that there's resolution on both sides.
That's good. That's really good. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Such a beautiful reminder. Like, we're here to serve, just as Christ said. Son of Man came to serve, not to be served. And so we get to model Christ in that way. That's really good. I appreciate all that you guys shared, and I hope the conversation that you guys have tonight in group is encouraging. We are committed to small groups, and we want to always be honest about ways that we can grow as brothers and sisters in Christ. And so thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys so much. And until next week. Bye.